I'm B.
And I'm Sam.
And we're two best friends who like to talk shit about smut, wingspan,
And sometimes books.
Join us every Wednesday for a new episode. I'm B.
And I'm Sam.
And we're two best friends who like to talk shit about smut, wingspan,
And sometimes books.
and welcome to our author spotlight, where twice a month we like to sit down to talk about our favourite books.
Completely spoiler free and the perfect way to top up the TBR.
Good morning.
Hello, happy Monday.
Happy Monday indeed.
And we're recording this on the Monday because it's a bank holiday here in the United Kingdom.
It is. That's nice for us.
Yeah, so this is like coming to you hot off the press, as they say.
Yeah. Raw.
Raw. It's raw. We are trying to do a bit more episodes like this. Not like main channel, certainly, or our like full deep dives, because we spend far too much time umming and ahhing and silences and saying things that when we say saying things that we shouldn't say, not in like a bad way, just like spoiling books, further books in series and so on. But like, you know, we are not to like toot our own toot, but we are turning out quite a significant number of episodes every month for you guys. And it's just little old us. We don't have like a production company behind us. We don't have an editor. So when we're doing, what's that, four main channel, 2 author spotlights and a Patreon, that's 7 episodes a month for us to be editing. So we are trying to keep the slightly shorter ones to being ones that we can record, not have to edit and upload. And that is what we're doing today, is a bit of a tester for the author spotlights. We usually don't do this, but we thought we'd give it a go, didn't we?
Yeah. Fingers crossed it sounds good and it goes well.
Yeah, you'll find out. So we are back with season 2 of Author Spotlight.
Yay!
So we ended up, guys, it comes as no shocker, we had so many good submissions. I mean, all the submissions were amazing. Firstly, we just want to say, like, thank you to everyone that submitted. We had an overwhelming number of submissions and they were all excellent choices. We really struggled. We actually kind of, not I say argued, but kind of argued over which ones, because we had to narrow it down to 12 in theory. We ended up picking 14 because we just couldn't choose between the last 2.
Yeah.
So we actually ended up doing an extra month than planned. But I think that's just like amazing, because I think that's such a lucky position to be in, right?
Yeah.
So when we did it again this time round, we split them into 2 teams randomly, and then we put them into a random generator to generate the order as well. So the choice and what's happening every month is completely random. So the first book that we are doing in season 2 of the Author Spotlight is Of Flames and Fallacies by Courtney Whims. Now, I really hope I'm pronouncing that word correctly. Fallacies?
Yeah.
Fallacies, yeah. I actually had to Google what that meant because I didn't know. Do you know what it means?
No, I thought it was something rude, but you're not smirking at me, so...
No, you're thinking of like, is it phallus, I think is the rude word. No, fallacies basically means like something that you thought was bad or like didn't believe in or thought was like a negative.
Oh.
So it's not in the rude way.
So it's not a massive cock.
No.
Okay.
No. Unfortunately, no. Although, if anyone's listening, we would respect somebody putting that in their book title. It says what it does on the tin.
of flames and massive cocks.
Maybe that's like an encouragement for you to write your big blue penis alien series.
He wasn't an alien.
Oh, I mean, okay. Are we ready to go on?
He was a real boy.
He was okay, but so why was it blue? Medical reasons?
I don't know.
Or we're not sure. Okay, haven't fleshed out that part of the plot quite yet. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the author, and then I'll talk about the book, and we'll get into it. Sound good?
Yeah.
Cool. So Courtney Whims. Courtney is a self-published author who has been writing her own stories since elementary school. After reading some of the most popular romantasy series currently in the genre, she noticed there weren't many Dragon Rider romance series. Thus, she began to write a series of her own. Of Flames and Fallacies is her debut novel and the first in the Arterian trilogy. OFAF was originally set to release in September 26, 2024, but the date was pulled when Courtney was picked up by amazing agent Catherine Hendrick Armstrong. The book goes out to submission to publishers in January 2025. Courtney currently resides in Los Angeles, California area. If she's not writing or reading, she's either drawing or spending time with her husband and toddler. All of the cover art, character art, and other illustrations are hand-drawn by Courtney herself. Snaps. Silent snaps for that.
Literally.
Silent snaps
Love
for that.
that for her.
I mean, hand-drawing everything herself, does everything herself, snaps for that. Secondly, getting picked up trad or getting a literary agent before you've even released it, snaps for that.
School.
So, I'll go on to the blurb of OFAF, which is what FAF is what the acronym is. Possession of dragon contraband in the Arterian kingdom is a guaranteed brutal execution. When 22-year-old Katerina Blackwin finds a dragon egg buried in her father's grave, she begins to question everything she thought she knew. She must return the forbidden dragon hatchling Deja north to the secretive Dragonlands, where dragons roam free and a rebellion group resides. But she can't do it on her own. Smuggling a dragon hatchling across the realm during a war between the Arterians and the rebels means she can be killed by either side. She knows there's only one person she can trust, her old flame Cole Ashbourne. Yet Cole is much different than the last time Kat saw him, deliciously chiselled in all the right places with a raw power lingering beneath the surface. Cole is torn between his responsibilities as a newly promoted captain to the King's military and his heart. Kat works on a plan to get Deja to the Dragonlands while keeping a low profile at the military outpost, though having a room next to the sinisterly provocative Darian Raventhorn proves to be anything but easy. Danger lurks at every turn, and as more secrets are unearthed, Kat is left to question everything she thought she knew about dragons, her family, love, and the kingdom.
Ooh. That sounds so good.
So good. So this is available on Amazon as of right now. It's a KU book. Snaps for KU books. The paperback is $13.96 British sterling, and if you were to buy the ebook and not have a Kindle Unlimited subscription, it is £3.87. And I know when we contacted Courtney about being chosen on this spotlight, she did mention that I think arcs for book 2, if not have already been sent to her arc team, are certainly soon to be sent, and she did offer us the arc for book 2, so
Woo-hoo!
It means
Thanks,
once I can go straight in to book 2 before anyone else. Haha. So with Flames and Fallacies is, I have to say, do you know what, right? I'm trying to rack my brain of all the, and this isn't like a comparison, but of all the author spotlights we have had, not just author spotlights, of all the openings of a book I have ever read, the opening of this book is on par with like Plated Prisoner, book 1, Guild.
Ooh.
It doesn't open on an orgy, like Plated Prisoner does, but it opens with the FMC being chased through the streets by a dragon that is literally just trying to incinerate her. So you're literally just like dropped in on action. Straight away, she's like, I'm going to be fucking burned by this dragon and I'm running for my life. So it's such a like intense, like opening. It's so descriptive. It's so vivid. You literally feel like you're in like a game, you know, like the VR headsets And you're
Yeah.
running through the streets while this like big fucking dragon chases you from behind and is trying
Temple
to burn
Run,
you.
like.
Yeah, it's literally like Temple Run with a dragon. And she's desperately trying to find cover, and she goes to like a friend's house that she knows would be in, but they've like everyone in the town's like locked doors, hiding in their houses. She lives like basically in the outskirts of the town, so practically in the woods, so she can't really run to her house, I guess, because it's not very taking cover. But when she's out of luck and when she's basically like can't go anywhere, she kind of beelines for her family home, where she mentions that her mother is really unwell, so she wants to go try and protect her mother. Basically runs out into the open and turns around, see this big fucking dragon flying towards her, and she's like, and like lots of people get burnt as she's running, so like it's not like, you know, it's not burning anyone. She mentions lots of people get incinerated while she's running. She turns and basically like hunches down, preparing herself for the absolute worst, and it doesn't burn her, it just flies overhead and like circles back round. So she runs, she goes to find her mother, she takes cover, and the dragons, I'm pretty certain they slay the dragon. Like the royal guard managed to shoot the dragon out of the sky, and yeah, so she doesn't get burnt, which is interesting. I can't what's the word? I'm not going to divulge on that anymore, because I am just cautious of like what the blurb says. This again is one of those ones where like I'm maybe going to be able to talk you up to chapter maybe like 5, and then I've got to zip. But basically, Katerina, her mum is really sick. It's just her and her mum. She's in her early 20s. Her dad has passed away and her brother passed away. They're pretty much living in poverty on the outskirts of this village that isn't particularly affluent anyway. Like everyone's struggling. Everyone's like trying to trade goods. Taxes are high. No one's got any money or food. And she lives in the woods effectively near a okay, and she goes over there to like visit her dad and her brother's graves. During one of her sort of angsty moments, because her, I guess, like childhood sweetheart called Cole, who you don't meet for a while but is just referenced, has left the village to go what's it called? Subscription. What is it called when you join up in an conscription?
Is it conscription?
Conscription, thank you. I was going to say prescription. He becomes conscription. He goes to conscription with the army, so he's gone off to the army, and he has a ton of younger sisters, all ages. And Katerina bumps into one of them in the town, and basically you find out that he proposed to her before he left, and you don't necessarily get a no, but you kind of get the vibe that she said no, because she's certainly not engaged, basically, is the way to put it. Cole's younger sister's really frosty to her, says some really nasty things. So she basically is like having not a good time, talks about how much she misses Cole, how when they left things, it was really rough, and yeah. At one point then, when she's like full of anger, she is sat at her father and her brother's grave, and she notices in the ground there's like a flat black stone, or like I wouldn't say flat, but like a really smooth black, she thinks like a river stone. So she picks it up. As soon as she touches it, she feels like weird. She takes it to like a local vendor that she's kind of friendly with in the town that she trades goods with, and he's like, get this the fuck away from me, I want nothing to do with it. And she's like, why? It's a rock, right? He's like, no, get it away from me. Don't ever tell anyone you brought it here. I want nothing to do with this. But she's like, what is it? He won't even tell her. So she's like, okay. Goes back home. In this world, obviously dragons exist. And you get from the world building effectively is that dragons were a thing. I wouldn't say necessarily dragon riders were a thing, but like, I guess you could call them people who just like dragons, like enjoyed them. And you have like water dragons, air dragons, earth dragons. There's different types of dragons. Some dragons don't fly, which is really cool when you get the description of them. There's like, they're kind of like elemental dragons, I guess. But the king who's currently in power, his basically believes that dragons are really bad, like they kill people, not good for the land. and has basically hunted them to extinction. The only ones that do still survive are in the Dragonlands, which is basically over this massive ridge of mountains that's kept like really far away. And for years and years, they've never surfaced. They've never bothered to come out because they've been hunted. But when this dragon attacks Deja, when this dragon attacks Katarina's village, she says like that's the first dragon in however long, like, but they're becoming more prevalent more and more as of recent. They're showing up all the time. And there's a group of people that are called the Rebels, who are dragon sympathizers, people who believe that dragons shouldn't be hunted. They are, you know, like these sacred magical creatures. And some live in the Dragonlands, but some are like rebel groups that are burning down villages, attacking the royal guard, attacking anything to do with the king. So there is like this civil war going on between the king's people, the king's guard, and the rebels. I keep saying Deja, oh my gosh, for Katarina. Katarina's mum is like really unwell. Again, not specific as to what she is suffering from, but basically like hysteria is the way to put it. Talks in riddles, talks in rhymes, generally because of medication is kept quite like placid. But then she has these like outbursts where she goes like starts like banging her head against the wall, like writing on the wall, like really losing her mind. She speaks in like riddles. And when Katarina brings this stone back to their little log cabin in the woods, she falls asleep in the night, wakes up, the house is engulfed by flames, completely going down. She's like, what happened? How did this happen? She tries to get her mum out of her bedroom, but the door's stuck. Her mum barely manages to open it a crack to speak to her. And she's like really lucid all of a sudden, right? Where she hasn't been in years and years and years. And she just says, I need you to take this bag, I think she refers to it as a stone at the time, and run. Just get out of here. Leave me. You're not going to get me out of this room. Leave me. And she's like, no, but she can't get into the room. She can't punch the window in. Like, it's not happening. And so she does. She listens because she's never heard her mum talk with such conviction. And she runs. As she looks over, she just sees the family home collapsing on her mum. It's really sad. Really, really sad. And then basically, because again, I'm just taking what's in the blurb. I'm not spoiling anything that isn't in the blurb. That stone is a dragon egg and has been buried in her father's grave for like years. And in that bag that her mother gives her is like money, food, and her mother basically tells her, you need to get to the Dragonlands. You need to take this stone, effectively, get to the Dragonlands, and the only person you can trust is Cole, which is her ex, like, flame. So then you get Deja, which is the dragon, who's like a little teeny tiny baby dragon when she first comes out of the egg, a little black dragon. And they can't talk to each other mentally, but there's something about when Deja does like motions, Cass can just pick up on it. So like she says, oh God, what shall I call you? And she just feels like something tells her like Deja. That's how I'm pronouncing it. Daeja. I feel like it's Deja. And yeah, and so they have like this really adorable little relationship. She sits on her shoulder and they basically start traveling to where she thinks Cole will be with the military, which is like, I wouldn't necessarily the next village along, but like towards a village. And yeah, she finally gets to Cole with some stuff on the way, but and the only way she can stay with Cole at this military outpost village is to lie and say that she's his sister and that she's come to conscript as a healer in the military, and that's how she gets herself in. But she's effectively now walking around with a baby dragon, and they are like that is what everything the military is against. All they're doing is fighting rebels. She comes across rebels at one point on her journey who literally just burn down a family's house for no reason. They lock the family inside, the little girls inside, and they just set the house on fire. It's really grim. It's very she starts reading her father's journal, starts to learn a lot about his life that she never knew. It's effectively like a, like I don't say encyclopedia, but I guess on dragons that he's written. And she's like, but how the fuck did my dad know all this stuff about dragons? Her father was in the military. That's what she knew. And so was her mother. And that's how they met. So she's like, why would they be Why would he know anything about dragons? Why was it never mentioned? So bizarre. So she gets to, with Cole, there's obviously so much tension. You find out a bit more as to why, there was this engagement, but what happened. And obviously there's so much yearning and burning between them because they missed each other, but he's so angry with her and she's so angry with him. But then, and this isn't a spoiler because it's in the blurb, you get this other character, who called Darian, that's how I'm pronouncing it, Darian, who is a bastard, right? He's such a prick. He's he's basically, I think, called like the best swordsman in the land, and he's having to train with the army before he can go work for the king directly. But Cole is like the captain at this army base, so like they hate each other. He's like broody, he's horrible to Kat, like vile to her. He goads her all the time, but like I kind of like low-key am obsessed with him, and you start to be like, I don't know. Yeah. And that's, I think, all I can say.
It sounds amazing.
It's so fast-paced, and that genuinely is about, I'd say maybe 7 chapters in.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 chapters in. It's so fast-paced.
There's just something about dragons in books that I just bloody love. I feel like it really brings a fantasy to fantasy level when you've got like mythical creatures.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like you just, I feel like you fall into that world a lot quicker because it's not like, oh, is this sort of like real life? It's like, no, because there's fucking dragons everywhere.
Yeah, it's so far removed from real life that like, yeah, you feel like you're in like another land completely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Love it.
Yes.
Are you ready for questions?
I am so ready.
Okay. What was your favourite part of the book?
I think my favourite part, again, it's not spoilers, but eventually Kat and Deja do form like a telekinetic bond between them. So she does end up being able to talk to Deja directly, like mind to mind. And it's so funny, like hilarious, because like Deja's young, she's like a little hatchling, and like Kat's trying to have like serious conversations because she hides her in the woods outside of the camp to keep her away, like in the caves in the mountains. And she's like all the time, constantly like, don't come near the camp, keep yourself hidden, don't let anyone see you. And then all she responds is, what does a chicken look like? I'm going to go hunt a chicken. And it's just so like funny. Like they're corresponding between each other. And then like the one time she goes to see her and she's like, look, I caught a chicken, and drops it. And it's not a chicken. It's like a duck or something. Oh. It's so funny. So funny.
Love that. Did you race to the end, or was it more of a slow burn?
Race to the end. We were talking about this before we started recording, but it's such a quick read, which is like a positive. There's nothing wrong with long reads. There's nothing wrong with quick reads. There's nothing wrong with in the middle. But it's nice to have a variation. We always say this, particularly in fantasy, they are beefier in the word count generally. And I'm not the quickest reader. You're way quicker than me. For me, I think it took me about 3.5 to 4 hours to read this, and that was me like it just in the evening. If I'd have had like a whole day unbothered by children and husbands, I reckon I could have smashed this out in 2.5 to 3 hours. It's such a quick read. Love that.
Oh, I'm excited. Which scene has stuck with you the most?
Ooh, I'm not gonna lie, there's loads of yearning and burning tension between her and Cole, and there's a lot of flashbacks. That's how you kind of understand what happened between them. And I definitely say some of the flashbacks are really, when I say steamy, not necessarily like, it's got good spice in it, but I wouldn't say those scenes are particularly spicy. They're just really like tension. You know what I mean? Like lustful, I guess is the word.
We love yearning burning.
Yeah, because in some of the flashbacks, they're still like friends. They haven't like got together yet, depending on what timeline the flashback happens. And I love it.
Would you want to read another book by this author?
Yeah, 100%. I need to reply to Courtney to say send me the arc for book 2, because I've got a few things I need to read in between, but I definitely have that on my May TBR.
Stunning. What surprised you most about the book?
Do you know what? I wouldn't say, I don't want to say it's why choose, right? Because it isn't. That isn't the trope we're looking at. But it's not just me being obsessed with like the villain and then genuinely supposed to be a villain. You definitely get obvious tension between Darian and Kat that I don't think she even realizes what it is, but it's there. You can't deny it. Like, you just can't. She thinks it's just pure hate, but you're like, nah, you think he's hot. I really didn't expect that. Like, when you meet Cole and she's saying how in love with him she is, you're like, yeah. And he's very much in love with her, you know, so they are very much in love with each other even after getting like back together, I guess. Maybe not back together in the sense that they're in a relationship, but like seeing each other again. But I really didn't expect that to be like a love triangle, I guess is the way to put it. Love it.
Love it. How did your opinion of the book change as you read it?
I think you really, because you get like excerpts of her father's journal peppered, certainly through the first like 2/3, I'd say. And although some of the outcomes of that you kind of already know because of things that have happened earlier in the book, there's like little things that happen in her father's journal that are really surprising, like how he ends up being, because you know that he was like in the military, right? But how he ends up getting there is really interesting. And yeah, there's so many little I feel like Easter eggs or things, maybe the things that Courtney's put there particularly for like book 2. Yeah, you read it and you're like, oh, I didn't expect that. And it's not explained, not in a I don't understand way, but it's just said and then open for interpretation. And maybe, you know, it's something Courtney's going to pull back in on book 2. But yeah, that was what I was really surprised at, was how Easter eggy or dragon eggy her father's journal was, I guess.
Love that.
Yes.
How does the book's title work in relation to the book content?
Well, I had to Google what that word meant, but I'm just an absolute fucking idiot. Like, writer who? Author who?
I thought it was a big willy, so...
Yeah, it's not a phallus, no. So, of Flames and Fallacies, basically, it's like saying, like, not all is what it's perceived. Like, the perception that, like, dragons are really bad, they should be outlawed, they need to be killed, which is what everybody in this world who's not a rebel thinks, and, like, how bad they are. And obviously the first perception of a dragon you get is literally just like incinerating innocent people in a village. So you get this perception that they're like the big bad. And maybe that isn't the case. That's all I'll say on that.
Very interesting. Did this book remind you of any others?
I mean, yeah, look, when I was writing my notes for this, when I was doing research before this episode, like, I wouldn't have said this if it wasn't something that Courtney has actually compared to on her Instagram. Because when we do this question, we do it because we want you to be like, if you love this, you love this.
Check out this.
But sometimes, like, I kind of like, not saying I hate doing this, but I don't want people to think I'm comparing their book in a like a negative way. It's never intended as that. But when I went to look at this comparison, I made sure that it was something that Courtney has done herself. So, like, I think it comes as no surprise if you've been listening to this whole episode, the Fourth Wing is probably what I'd say is, I say its biggest comparison. It's military-esque. It's not a military academy unlike Fourth Wing. And obviously we have dragons. I do feel like the lore behind dragons is very different, you know, in the sense that, like, in Fourth Wing, they're like these amazing creatures that everyone worships, but in this it's not that case at all. You know, these dragons are far more elemental. That's not the case in Fourth Wing. Yeah, I think Fourth Wing is a good comparison. And do you know what book 1 reminds me of? And it's hard to, like, explain why it reminds me of this, but I'm just going to say it. Like, it reminds me of Spark of the Everflame.
Oh.
Yeah. So what I will say is, if you think of, like, Spark of the Everflame, but with dragons, and, like, if anyone's read Spark of the Everflame, so this isn't a spoiler, but where Henry isn't a knobhead. That's all I'm going to say. So if you imagine, like, the setup between DM and Henry in the beginning.
Yeah.
But, like, where Henry isn't a prick, basically. And that's Cole. Like, he's not a prick at all. Like, he's lovely. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and it's fast paced like Spark, you know how like the beginning of Spark is straight in, it's happening.
Yeah.
Particularly like the elemental side of it as well. The elemental side of it is more applicable to the dragons, but like you have the different realms in Spark, like fire, like all those different ones. It's definitely like that with the dragons. Yeah, I think that's what I'd say, like Spark of the Everflame meets Fourth Wing.
I love it.
What's not to love about that?
Oh, I'm excited to read this one.
Yeah, it's such a like, just like what I need. Do you know, I will say, right, arguably, maybe I'd even use the word palette cleanser because of the speed of it. Because I wouldn't say it's a short book. It's not short. It's a regular size fantasy novel. But because it's so fast paced, it feels short. It feels quick. And it's really refreshing. But you still get a heap of fantasy. And, I adored it. Loved it. Can't wait to read book 2.
Snaps.
Snaps. So that was our first book in season 2 of the Spotlight.
I don't know if my mic's picking up my clapping.
No, it's not, but that's Sam's clapping.
Yay!
So we will be back on what date is it? Can we give a date? What's the last Monday of May? Hold on, I'll have a looky now. Yeah. It's the 26th of May, which is actually another bank holiday here in the UK. We're spoiled for bank holidays in the UK this month, aren't we?
And it'll be the day after Cali Heart.
For anyone who's listening that doesn't know, we are cheering the Cali Heart Q&A for Bath Literature Festival on the 25th of May. We're terrified. We're so excited. Our heart is so full. And we are staying the night in Bath. Go on, tell everyone, Sam, what you booked.
I booked a DoubleTree by Hilton. They give you warm cookies when you check in.
So basically, we were looking for a hotel near the venue. Sam saw the first one, which was like a DoubleTree by Hilton. It was in our budget, albeit right at the top of the budget. And Sam just went, book. No, non-refundable, book it now. I didn't even know what it was. She just kept screaming DoubleTree at me.
I was just so excited. They give you warm cookies on check-in.
So
it's going to be anticlimactic if they don't give us cookies now.
I know. I know.
Where's my cookie?
Excuse me. So when you're listening to the end of May's episode, that's where we'll be, probably hopefully having a lie-in in Bath.
Yes, absolutely having a lie-in in Bath.
And yeah, so we're so excited to be back for season 2, and yeah, we're just loving it. And we hope if anybody reads of Flames and Fallacies, please let us know. We've loved this. And let us know if you read it based off this recommendation, and if you also enjoyed it, because I certainly bloody did. And I was just looking to see on the list what what episode 2 was for season 2, what you're doing in May, which is Blooms of Darkness by Anna Applegate and Helen D'Amico.
Ooh. Snaps. Can't wait for that.
Are we done?
I think so.
Lovely. We'll see you end of May, guys.
Thanks so much for listening.
Follow us on TikTok and Instagram at A Pod of Smut and Wingspan.
See you next week.
Bye.